address a few points here. We closely monitor, and we continue to closely monitor, Syria's proliferation-sensitive materials and facilities. As the opposition makes strategic advances and grows in strength, the Assad regime has been unable to halt the opposition's progress through conventional means, and we are concerned that an increasingly beleaguered regime, having found its escalation of violence through conventional means inadequate, might be considering the use of chemical weapons against the Syrian people. And as the President has said, any use or proliferation of chemical weapons by the Syrian regime would cross a red line for the United States. The Assad regime must know that the world is watching, and that they will be held accountable by the United States and the international community if they use chemical weapons or fail to meet their obligations to secure them. We continue to consult actively with Syria's neighbors, our friends in the international community, and with the opposition to underscore our common concern about the security of these weapons and the Syrian government's absolute obligation to secure them.
What does the U.S. deem the security of those chemical weapons at this point?
Well, I can't get into intelligence assessments. We believe they remain in the possession of the Syrian regime, the Assad regime. But as the regime has lost all legitimacy to lead Syria and the opposition grows in strength, our concern about the regime's intentions regarding its chemical weapons stockpiles has increased.
And just to go back to the red line, I just want to kind of clarify where the red line is for the president. Obviously, use of chemical weapons is a red line, but in terms of the movement of them, there obviously are reports that the weapons are being moved or have been moved. Is the type of movement that we're seeing right now, does that cross the red line?
Well, I think the president made clear that the use of weapons was a red line. We are monitoring the situation in Syria closely, and we are monitoring the regime's chemical weapons stockpiles. I'm not going to get into intelligence matters, but as I said, we believe that with the regime's grip on power loosening, with its failure to put down the opposition through conventional means, we have an increased concern about the possibility of the regime taking the desperate act of using its chemical weapons.
But at this point, you can't say for sure that what we're seeing right now does not cross the president's red line?
Well, again, I think we're talking about the use of chemical weapons.
But he also talked about the movement of chemical weapons in his press conference in August.
I understand that.
So that would change the equation if it was being moved.
Well, I think that you're hearing from me about our increased concern. You're hearing from me the fact that we are consulting with our allies and international partners, as well as the opposition about this. There is no doubt that we have an increased concern about this. But beyond that, I'm not going to get into matters of intelligence, except to say that we do have an increased concern. Yes, Reuters.
And what action would the U.S. take if Syria were to cross that red line and use chemical weapons?
Well, I wouldn't want to speculate, but we think it is important to prepare for all scenarios. Contingency planning is the responsible thing to do, and we are also actively consulting with friends, allies, and the opposition. But I wouldn't want to speculate about what action we might take.
Include military action?
Well, again, I think the contingency planning of all kinds